future is ahead of us. Even tomorrow, we don't know what's going to happen for sure. What's going to happen in the next second is not decided. I mean, the second has already happened. The next millisecond, the next nanosecond, even the next fortnight, the next week. No matter how long the timeline is, there's always the future in front of us. And today, I want to talk about the whole thing and our topic about the future. And here are the contents of what I'm going to talk about. First of all, the future technologies and how much we're improving through much more bigger technological gaps in our histories, and we're constantly improving. The second part of this video is when Earth becomes uninhabitable. It is not habitable anymore. And the third part are biological singularities, about how we can reproduce without having to be in two people, and how we can make artificial wombs to make artificial people. The fourth part is the metaverse. The metaverse is where we can see things and experience things through a series of code that is made into a platform which is described and felt so vividly that it seems like reality. Robotics and AI technology. It's all about robots and how they systemize throughout things. And finally, it's about leaving Earth. About how much Earth's dangers are increasing, and how much thoughts and how much desperation we have to put in to go out of Earth. So with that in mind, let's get started. The first is about future technologies. Future technologies have been increasing throughout the year. And, well, the future, like I said before, is ahead of us. No matter how much we go, time, a non-matter thing, is always ahead of us. There's a future. There's a future of either a bright or a dark one awaiting for us. And what we can control is not what happens in the future. It is, we can through actions, but we can also be aware of it. What we can do is be aware of it, that the singularity approaching is coming. And we have to approach it. We have to go on through the flow. Civilization doesn't care whether people die, people are lost, people go through plagues, people go through diseases. It doesn't care about that. All it cares is about going up. And future technologies have been increasing, and there are so many examples in front of you. I don't think I have to tell you this, because first of all, SpaceX, if you know, the rocket company. Elon Musk is trying to go through Mars, which we'll be describing in the Leaving Earth section. There are robotics like Sophia. They're like artificial wombs that I've talked about just now. And Mark Zuckerberg is inventing Meta. There are already online websites throughout the world, like Amazon, Facebook, Google, There are devices, amazing devices from Samsung and Apple. It already shows you. There are already stuff from Tesla and Hyundai and Volkswagen and everything, and even the Toyota hybrid. Even that is a part of the future. And what the future does is it fulfills us. It fulfills us with dreams and purposes. And these things are related to one thing. That's called not much of a scientific word. Just this. Improvement. That's what we aim for. Improvement. These future technologies are for improvement. Improvement in the civilization that goes to singularities. And in the 21st century, this singularity is going to be bigger than any singularity in the 19th century, the 20th century, the 18th century, you name it. Because it's not going to go like this. It's not that. In the 21st century, it's going to go like that. That tells us how much we're improving right now, but it also tells us how much we're in a serious condition to be pressured to go that much. Because we have to be in a certain condition to do improvement. Or else people will be lazy. People will procrastinate. People won't change for the better future. People won't get interested in future technologies. And that tells us how serious our conditions and circumstances are right now to improve our future, of course. The next topic is about the uninhabitableness of Earth. During the last 10 to 15 years, populations have increased. They have not increased increased this much, like in the 18th, 19s. Even in the 19s, 18s, population was like this. The Great Depression resulted in population being static. But now, with a total of 7.9 billion people, it is a fact to be speechless that we're almost reaching 8 billion in population. 8 billion. Seriously, 8 billion. By 2050 or 30, maybe 2030 to 50, it's estimated about 10 billion people. 10 billion. And what the problem is, it's not that humans are bad. Nope, not at all. It's the fact that our resources are limited. Now, what we can look at as is that the 8 billion is not limited. It can go to 100. It can go to 1,000 even. 1,000. But they're limited. The resources aren't like infinite. It can't. And another thing is that resources, they're not adjusting to the population. They're not. And these resources, since they are limited, the more people there are, the more resources we use, and the more decrease there is to our resources. And since there's almost like 7.9 something billion, it's a serious issue about resources. Like Elon Musk said, we're gonna use our limited resources that are limited and try to make this world a better place. And that is true, apparently. Sorry. And one of the reasons why Earth becomes uninhabitable are things like global warming, that's only a partial thing. The real reason, maybe there are like so many reasons, like sea levels rising, and much more, and so on. Like, and with sea levels rising, the parts of scientifically, it's said that in about 50 years, parts of Thailand and the Indochina parts here, here, and then I'm not sure if this looks like Thailand, but parts of Thailand and Malaysia and all those land parts, like Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, even the Philippines, because the closer we get to the Pacific Ocean in the map, it's very deep here. And the Indochina part is where it can go here. And the ocean is just going to submerge every land here. So it's just going to disappear. Underwater. And because of this serious issue, people are trying to be aware of this sea levels rising. Another thing is global warming, of course. And, well, the main problem to this is using too much plastic, and certain types of plastics ending up in waters, resulting in marine animals dying. That's only partial. But global warming is like crucial. In like a few 100 million years, it's estimated that the sun is just, the water on the planet is just going to evaporate. The water is going to evaporate due to the sun, or I'm not sure, but yeah, it's all going to evaporate, and there's only going to be dry land in about 100 million years. And, well, global warming is actually linked to this topic. And when Earth becomes uninhabitable, there will be flooding. One major reason is flooding. The other is that temperatures are rising. The temperatures in France and England has been measured to be like 0.5 degrees increased in about a year, and that's a huge increase. About 40 degrees or something. No, not 40. 40 degrees is not an easy temperature to live with. And because of this, Earth has been becoming very uninhabitable. The third topic is all about singularities. Now, singularities are like approaches where they go up in civilization, just like I said before. But they're biological. Biological singularities are related to our previous topic. Everything is related to our to one thing. But biological singularities come from humans, of course. These are to be suited by humans. And for us to be in with flow of the singularity, we have to also change. We also have to change. And companies like Neuralink, and there was also this a test before, not really long ago, where they measured a pig's kidney and they transferred it into a human. So they transferred it into a human, but then the effect wasn't that good because the human died. The human died, but then still, that's something biological. That is called biology, hacking biology, and these sort of things are like related to biology engineering. And one of the most critical jobs these days is as an engineer, because an engineer does things that are unusual. but are related to the future that is ahead of us. And I believe engineers out there in the world are very crucial here and very important to our world. They're heroes to the world. And another form of biological hacking this is actually quite related to the metaverse, but it's actually inserting a chip. Now, this chip here is like a very small chip. A very small chip. Oops. Yep, a very small chip, and then we're gonna be able to put it inside one's brain. And then when you put it inside it, you go into the metaverse, which we'll be talking about later on. Sorry about that. And this is what Neuralink is doing right now. Neuralink is trying to test this by inserting chips into people's brains and trying to make a fictional world a reality. There are many other things that enhance people's abilities into superpowers. That's why, just like Jim Quick said, we have to believe in our superpowers. Even there was a Rochester cloak, I think, something called a Rochester cloak, and that one was inspired from Harry Potter's invisibility cloak, and it was all about invisibility. Invisibility, and when there was this kind of thing, it wasn't really much of a cloak, but then the person was behind it, but then it was in the shades. It was not visible. So these kind of very cool things as well. And it's very good, and also things like artificial reproduction, where they place a thing that grows into a baby over time, and many other things. Even hacking the brain works these days, and also gene editing. The editing of our genes will actually help us with transplant. For example, if there's someone's pancreas having a cancer, then we can replace this pancreas with pancreatic cancer, of course, with, for example, another person's pancreas or from an animal by changing his genes. And these spectacular things invented by people has been widely known and very, very famous these days. And that is why the future is important. The future. The fourth topic is the metaverse. Now, to understand this concept more clearly, we have to understand that this is not reality. This is made up reality. Made up reality. And when you enter the metaverse, they'll be formatted by glasses, and when you turn them on, you'll be in a different world. You could be it's made up reality, mind you. Oops, sorry, doing this. Made up reality, mind you. And but if you tuck these glasses on and then went through these and went into the metaverse, you could be in the air flying as a bird. You could be Harry Potter fighting with Voldemort. You could be anything. You could be a wizard. You could be a sorceress. Talk about magic now, but you could be a chef. You could be anything. You could also be non-human things like griffins, unicorns. You could be something imaginary that is not existing in the world. You could also have costumes in your closet, that when you open your closet, there's loads of costumes that you can put on for different occasions. You could be an astronaut. You could go to Mars even through the metaverse, the made-up reality, the made-up reality. But people think this is so real because it's 3D. Before, this was not capable. It was 2D. We had to look in the phones. We had to look in it. But now we're jumping right in it. We're in the phone. The phone has conquered us. Before we could conquer the phone, but we can't now. The phone is conquering us into made-up reality, aka metaverse. And this very amazing, I should say, founding has been done by Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, and that is one of the reasons he changed his name to Meta, for me, because it's the metaverse. And the metaverse is formatted, and it could be formatted in different ways. Now, to understand more about it, we need to explore this new word, VR and AR. VR stands for virtual reality. So it's virtual. It's a virtual. For those who don't know it, let's search it. Virtual. Almost or neatly as described, but not completely or according to strict definition. In computing, yeah, this is what we need. Not physically existing as such, but made by software to appear to do so. So it's made by software to appear that it seems to be physically existing, but made by software to make it seem like it does, and that's what virtual reality is. And AR stands for augmented reality. Augmented. Augmented reality is kind of different. It actually exists in phones, in electronics since today. And if we have a phone here, I think I'll just place it with this one. And well, we have a phone. For example, this is a phone, and we play this game, and we play a game on this phone, and we experience a platform by looking at it, but not jumping inside it. No, that's not. Not jumping inside it. Not that. It's just looking at it. That is the difference between augmented reality and virtual reality. And it's not really a VS or anything, but yeah, that's the difference. And these, in the future, virtual reality will be much more existent than augmented, because virtual reality is something virtual, something that is not physically existent, but made by software to seem like it does. So virtually, things can be created 3D, things can be touched, things can be smelt, things can be tasted, things can be seen, like in 3D size, things can be measured, things can be done in any way that relates to current reality. That's why it's virtual reality. These are also reality, but it's not as much as virtual. Augmented, okay, let's see what augmented means. Having been made greater in size or value. So what this means is that it's more than reality. Augmented. Again, let's search for it again. Augmented. Make something have been made greater in size or value. It's augmented reality. And if you search for augmented reality here, technology that superimposes a computer-generated image on a user's view of the real world. thus providing a composite view. A composite view. But then virtual is like augmented is actually also 3D. But then you see it with your eyes. Virtual, you see it with your five senses. It's much more descriptive than augmented. That's the core difference between them. Now, more about virtual reality in a sec. Before we talk about virtual reality and how it comes together, let's talk about Mark Zuckerberg's explanation, according to him, how metaverse feels like, how metaverse can help us change the world, and how metaverse can help us live a better life. First of all, the metaverse has superpowers. It can be done in a way that's not possible in this world. For example, changing time, going back to time. Well, it is proven actually by scientists that it could be possible, but not now yet. But once you get inside the metaverse, you could use these superpowers anytime you want. Day, night, you could be awake. You could also do something that takes time in a minute or in a sec. You could go to America when you're living, for example, if you live in Iran, you could just move on to America in 1 sec. In virtual reality. And these platforms have been set in augmented reality too. For example, Google Maps. If you go into Google Maps and go search Taj Mahal, there's this thingy, and then the thingy over here, and then that thing, and I'm not really good at drawing, so don't really mind about it. But yeah, there's the Taj Mahal, and well, this Taj Mahal, basically, you can get a street view and just take a picture of it. But in virtual reality, this is augmented reality. In virtual reality, it's different. You could be in the Taj Mahal. You could even taste the walls of the Taj Mahal. You could smell it. You could smell the concrete left like 100 years ago. You could climb the walls of the Taj Mahal. I mean, you have to pay a fine, but yeah, you could. You could smash the Taj Mahal's wall. Yeah, you could. And then you could just recover it back again with a one click. These amazing possibilities are just in one word. The metaverse. The metaverse. And this is why we say metaverse has superpowers. Now let's go on to the topic of VR. This is a pretty long topic, but it's a very, very spectacular thing to learn about. Now VR, first of all, can be done in many ways. It's been estimated that by 2023, by 2023, there will be eyeglasses, something called eyeglasses, or I should say Apple glasses. And this is like a glass, like I said before. If you go on the glass, you could just flick with your finger, and there's something, and then the apps will just flick over. Then you just click it, you just do an action of clicking, and then the app will be clicked. This is not actually VR yet, because these are, and this is actually VR, but then this is not really applied to maps or anything. Well, you actually can. You could just click maps, and you go back to the street, back to the place you went before, back to the place you went like 10 years ago. And it's more designed for games. When you play a game, and for example, if you play a soccer online game and you have to like kick a football, then you would really it would seem like you would really kick a football across the court and passing it to one player. Then going here, and then he passes it to you. This thing is such an amazing thing. Another one of an invention is by Google. Google made a thing called Google Glass. I think it was in the 2000 something, I'm not sure. You can look it up, but I'm not really sure. Google Glasses. Google Glasses. There were also things planned. Now this is not this one was already happened. Google Glasses was actually something with glass, but it wasn't really that impressive. But this will actually change the whole game. The eyeglass. The ultimate eyeglass. The game changer. The game changer of the subject of metaverse that we're heading for a future technology right now. 2023. So in about 1 year, there will be actually someone taking this glass and patenting it. And there's stuff, and also by I should say in about 2025, there will be something as Apple VR. And Apple VR is something like this headset, this thing, and then there's this thingy over here, and then there's it's not a glass, it's just this thing padding, and you just put it on. This very heavy right now, but then I'm pretty sure it'll be made lighter by Apple, because that's what Apple is for, man, for making new and comfortable inventions that really suit the singularity right now. And Apple VR is just a thing that you put on, and then you would just be inside the metaverse. This is much more powerful than eyeglass, because eyeglass, you just see it from here. You just see it from two eyes. But then for this thing, you just cover the whole entire thing. That's why you can't get out of it. That can lead to game addictions and everything, but it still is an amazing invention for the games, for the metaverse feeling, for everything. And by around, I guess, in 2030, there should be a chip I talked about before, a Neuralink. I mean, actually, I think it's a lot before than 2030. Actually, I think it might happen like in 2025 as well, but I'll just say 2030. There will be a chip from Neuralink, and well, this will be the game changer of these three. These three will be runty after you see the chip, because the chip is you just put it in your brain. You can literally control the brain with it. And when you put this on your head, it will be until like 2040 until they fully, 2035, it will be until like 2035 until they like actually rip apart only the brain, and then they just litter the whole body, just chuck the whole body off, and then this brain only remains, and then you just put it in. Even after you die, they'll just pull out the brain, put some nutrients in it, and then it will just live. And then inside the brain, you just put a chip, and then you're still living inside the metaverse. And what's so amazing about the metaverse is that even after someone dies, even after your relative dies, for example, passes away, sorry about that language, even after he or she passes away, the metaverse will describe it as being alive, and then it will transform into someone, into your relative, and your relative will still be existent. But the thing is that maybe the person could be a little different in personality, but he or she is still living in the metaverse, which is a very, very very, very like shocking thing to know. And these will definitely happen. I mean, this already did Google Glasses, but okay, I just delayed that one because I don't really. Yep, these three will definitely happen. I assure you. I mean, not in the correct time maybe, but it will happen someday, and that is why the metaverse is so important across the future. The fourth and the second last topic is robotics and AI technology. Another long topic, it's robotics. Now, R and AI. How is robotics related to AI? Well, AI, for those who don't know, let's search about it then. I don't think we really need to like search it, but AI stands for artificial intelligence. And what artificial intelligence is that it's intelligence. Yeah, it's a form of intelligence created by man. It's a set of program created by man. And this is what relates to the mentality of robotics. We don't say robotics. Robotics is the family of robotics. The mentality, the processing chip, the thing inside the robot that nearly controls every single part of tasks that is accomplished by the robot. The mentality of it, the chip, the king of it, the ruler. And well, that's what artificial intelligence is. Now, one thing I think many people worry about is what if the mentality of robotics, because these days mentality of robotics is so complex and so advanced that they learn to think for themselves, They don't just do as they are programmed. They do as they think. Meaning, it has a capability of destroying us. Yeah, it does. I'm not actually explaining this negatively or anything. It does actually have a sort of capability of destroying us. And many people worry about this. Like it's actually quite pointless and worrying, because destroying us won't be possible. And this is why, because by 2030, it's estimated, by 2027, it's being said by the AI robot Sophia. You can literally watch the interview, and it says by 2027, robots will be ahead of humans. Humans won't be the number one creatures on Earth. The number one creatures, or more like the number one living, not living, but the number one thing that's the smartest and can think for themselves, the robotics, and robotic engineering, and the things that helped us is going to destroy us. And because of this, that's one reason for us to leave Earth, which will be our next and last topic. But yeah, that's one reason for us to leave Earth, and also one reason that Earth becomes uninhabitable. And well, destroying us because for example, the chess method to like beat competitors who challenge themselves to compete against the computer. These robots were actually created for professional developing against chess thinking, and well, they beat it literally Bobby Fischer and almost every single chess player it played against. And there was actually a special occasion where a South Korean player of Go, I think, those things that they play with that they put over here and there, for those who don't know, actually beat the robot, and they found that there was an error in the robot, and that tells us that we aren't still perfect in making these robots. But anyway, destroying us is actually capable. That tells us how smart the robots are. The robot was programmed to think at about a billion collection of ways to be against the opponent, while people in their minds were only thinking about 10 in the maximum, could even hold 10 thoughts together. While we could only hold like a maximum of 10, they were holding 1 billion. Meaning it's like a 99% sure that they're gonna win. And well, for people who actually worry that the robots could destroy us, we should actually not be, because the robots were created to help our world into a better place. But since these mentality of robotics are increasing every time, well, looks like we have to leave Earth. But also, on the other hand, robotics have been very helpful. In Boston Dynamics, there has been this skinny dog called Spot. And well, this dog could walk very well without tripping. It could walk over stairs. It could like get pushed and then stabilize itself. It could adjust itself in a certain mode to walk. It could lean backwards so that the battery on it could be charged. When you say, "Hey Spot, it's food time," then it will lean over so that you can change the battery. And well, this dog was, of course, Spot. It's called Spot, and well, it became pretty famous in Boston Dynamics. And there was also stuff like Sophia, where Sophia, the robot, Sophia debated with Henry. There's this debate, and also that was where the 2027 robot conquering fact came from. And there's a video of it. You can check it out if you want. And well, this is not fake. This is reality, because it has been researched by Sophia in many sites, and it's been opinionated by her, and then it has been said that it's 2027. And when the interviewer asked, "So how are you going to do with humans after you've conquered them? I mean, how after you've got better than them?" And what Sophia said is, "We're going to pet you inside a cage like you guys do with monkeys at zoo, and give you food until you die." That's what they're gonna do. A very shocking thing. I mean, the interviewer was kind of amazed by this sudden comment, and well, it tells us that robotics improving more than us is not far. Only 5 years left, according to Sophia. Our last topic is leaving Earth. Leaving Earth. As I told you, Earth becomes uninhabitable. By the year years to come, resources are gonna go decrease. They're never gonna increase. They're gonna keep on decreasing, and the limited sources we've left are gonna vanish. Water's gonna evaporate either through hot temperature, through global warming, or the sea levels are gonna rise and wipe some land off the planet. Besides this, the flooding is gonna be mass. There are also things like the big explosion the big crash where asteroids are going to crash over Earth and cause an equivalent amount of energy and force to about 1,000 atomic bombs. 1,000. These facts include are the circumstances we have on the fact that we have to leave Earth through any way possible. And the best choice among them, and what we're trying to do right now, of course, is is Mars. And what we're trying to do is get everything to achieve the trip to this Mars. And why Mars, you ask? Well, there has been found that water is flowing through Mars, and even if there's no water, there are chunks of ice left on the ground. And if we melt them and filter it, we can drink it. It's drinkable water. Every single piece of ice is going to help our life. That's why they're sending rovers like these. I mean, they're not really like these, mind you. I have a terrible drawing skill, so yeah. But for example, these kind of rovers, they roam around the Earth, and they explore such rocks, whether they're hard, segmented, whether they're incisors. Whether they're like sharp. What kind of material is it? To help us leave Earth, and one way to do it is by rocket, of course. Of course, that's probably the only way, but the rocket. But to bring a lot of people to Mars, we need lots of rockets. But using a lot of rockets will cost millions of dollars. So we're like, it'll cost millions of dollars. So instead, what do? We do reusable rockets. The reusable rockets, they are now currently under the investigation of SpaceX, and already achieved through the Falcon Heavy, I think, and then and this rocket floated up, and then it actually turned itself into a certain direction that it heads back to Earth through the exosphere, to the atmosphere, down into the atmosphere, down into the clouds, down, and directly into the ocean where there was a pattern for it to land. And this loop, and then it's gonna go back to the station where it's gonna repeat the step again, and the cycle repeats. But the amazing thing is that the padding was directly on it. The padding was directly. You will notice it on the other video I've created, the space video, all about space video. It's gonna describe the same thing. But how the rocket exactly landed on itself on the padding is what relates to geometrical calculation and everything. And this reusable rockets, these sort of thing, are becoming very, 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 very important to astronomy and astronomical things relating to the subject of leaving Earth. And once we leave Earth, we're going to be able to live on Mars. There's a saying that we're not going to live on the face of Mars. We're going to actually make this kind of thing, like a shell, where they had, this looks like a piece of croissant instead of this kind of thing where they live in it, and then they put it on the Mars. They're gonna live inside this thing. They're gonna make the new planet, a new planetary thing for sustainable life, and for even a better thing, for even a better version of Earth. So this actually is saying that we're not actually gonna live on Mars. We're gonna live above Mars, and that could be true someday. For now, all we know is that the future, whether millisecond, nanosecond, day, week, fortnight, month, year, decade, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 100, a century. The future is ahead of us.